We're good.
We're good. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and welcome everyone to the July 23rd Board Accountability Committee meeting for Savannah Chatham County Public Schools. Very excited. I'm always excited for this meeting, but very excited to have everyone here today. We are going to be talking about a couple of new things, but first I'd like to welcome Deputy Superintendent Stacey Taylor, who is joining this team to help us look at our data strategically in an innovative way. So thank you for your presence. I also would like to welcome those of us who are joining virtually. I've heard from a few who say that that particular way of being able to participate when they can't be physically present is valuable to them. So hello to everyone who is joining us virtually. And now, Dr. Watts, for your comments.
Yes. So I actually like to start with a little bit of a story, if I may. Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, known as the Maasai tribe, they offer a greeting to one another, and that greeting is Kasirian Ingera. And the translation of that is, "How are the children?" That's what it translates into. It is still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that the Maasai always places on their children's well-being. Even warriors there with no children at all use this traditional greeting, and then the response that they use to that is, "The children are well." So when I think about the role of the Board Accountability Committee, I think about us answering the question, and how are the children? And it is kind of the opportunity where we get to evaluate that as it relates to our KPIs. And I'm real excited about a revised strategic plan and KPIs that are public and now really invested in by all of our staff and our principals, and beginning to cascade that down to teachers. So with that, I will say Kasirian Ingera and pass it back to you.
Thank you very much. At this time, we do have a quorum present, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed. It has been corrected from the previously distributed version, but all facts are in order. So I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Ms. Hall. Is there a second? It's second by Dr. Howard Hall. Is there a need for any corrections, modifications, concerns?
Not that I see.
Okay, hearing none, I will accept a vote. All in favor of approving the agenda? Okay, that's unanimous. We'll move forward. Thank you. We've also received our minutes from our May 1st Board Accountability meeting. Ms. Edwards emailed those out some time ago. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 1st.
So moved.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, it's been properly moved in second to accept the minutes from the May 1st meeting. Are there any necessary corrections?
None that I saw.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes from May 1st, signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Okay, all good, terrific. So now we have a presentation on updates to the strategic plan for 2024-2025. We've got two main points that are in the agenda, and they're going to be explained to us by Ms. Taylor.
So, good afternoon. We are extremely excited to continue our conversation around our strategic plan. As Dr. Hoskins Brown has already highlighted, we are extremely excited to welcome the accountability team to the Office of Strategy, Innovation, and Performance. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my colleague, Mr. David Feliciano, for his phenomenal leadership and guidance and support during this transition. It is greatly appreciated. And just to underscore that this reconfiguration really marks the importance of execution, planning, and monitoring around our strategic plan. As we engage in continuous improvement, it's critical that we establish clear and consistent a clear and consistent way in which we report our KPIs in order to provide transparency as well as maintain accountability. We're also committed to ensuring that we have metrics that accurately measure our progress. So with that being said, today, as Dr. Hoskins Brown has indicated, we will spend time revisiting key performance indicators for strategic priority, the stewardship, strategic priority, and we'll also hear updates around our KPI reporting schedule. Again, we are excited and appreciate the opportunity to share with you this afternoon, and Dr. Laura May will come and lead us in the presentation.
Thank you. Welcome, Dr. May.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much. I am pleased to discuss with all of you today the updates to our strategic plan. So just to show you an overview, and I apologize. So this is the holistic view of the revised strategic plan, and today we will hone in on the area of update. Specifically, we are looking at strategic priority 4, stewardship, efficient, effective, and equitable resource stewardship. So when we examined the key performance indicators under stewardship and looked at the data that was available on an annual basis, we quickly surmised that the facilities condition index, although we would very much like to be able to provide it for you annually, is something that is in fact computed every 5 years. And as it is provided on a 5-year cycle, we are unable to include this as a metric, an appropriate KPI for the strategic plan. Therefore, we are proposing to remove that. And instead, what we'd like to review are the key performance indicators under this performance objective. So performance objective B has to do with ensuring that all facilities and departments effectively and efficiently support our students and our staff. So in that regard, I thought it was important to take a look at the KPIs that we do have for this area. So we have the annual status report that is provided on the long-range facilities plan, and you know that comes with appropriate updates, so it may be more than just that initial view. So that is a qualitative report on planned improvements, modifications, and or repurposing of district facilities to enhance operational efficiency and ensure the district facilities support high-quality teaching and learning. That is typically a board presentation, and that is how it is maintained for our revised strategic plan. We also have annual deferred maintenance. There was a lot of discussion around that, and that reflects the percentage of deferred maintenance remaining to be addressed based on the cumulative EASPLAS spending for deferred maintenance divided by the budget. So indicated that is something that is heard at the Capital Improvement Committee, so that is where the presentation occurs and is expected in March of 2025. With respect to work orders completion, there was a lot of discussion about what's happening on a weekly basis versus that preventative maintenance. So we have 2 separate indicators. The first indicator is the work order completion rate for that week view, completed within 7 days. It reflects the percentage of maintenance work orders that are completed within that daily allotment, and that is a superintendent's note. In that same superintendent's note, we will include the corresponding KPI that has to do with preventative maintenance. So this is something that will incur new data collection, and that is something that will be established this particular school year and reported out in the following year. Any discussion on this?
Well, yes, I just want to make sure that I understand, or maybe that others understand.
Yes.
The key performance indicators let us know how we're doing it in the strategic plan in that
Yes.
area. And we're getting rid of the long-range facilities plan, because if we did not, we would be.
No, the
I mean, I'm
long-range-
sorry, getting rid of using
The
the
FCI.
facility condition index. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
We're getting rid of using the facility condition index because we would be talking about the exact same report for 4 out of 5 years if we tried to do that, and that would
Yes.
not be a productive discussion.
Exactly. We
And-
do not have that computed on an annual basis and are unable to provide updates.
Okay, so we have that, and if we want to look at it, we can talk about it, but we're
Yes.
removing it as part of our report card.
Exactly.
And that made me itch, so I asked, can we have something else? And you guys have come up with a number of different things. Are you proposing that all of these things be what we look at? Or are you putting this forward as, here are some things to consider for that?
So these, in fact, are, if I may go back one slide, these are actually included already as KPIs.
Okay.
And they were there by design because we did have a question about whether the FCI was something that could be annually computed or not. And until we were able to get a determination, we left that as well in there. And it's, once it was determined that is a 5-year index,
Okay.
that we recommended the deletion, but we always had that annual status report, the reduced annual deferred maintenance, and also the work order completion rate, including the preventative maintenance. So the preventative maintenance is that additional KPI beyond just the work order completion within that 1-week span.
Got it, okay, thank you. Yes, Ms. Hall?
Dr. May,
Yes, ma'am.
let's look for a second, this increased work order completion rate, which sounds wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have something that we're going to compare? I mean, can I just say, oh, I want us to have 100 work orders done a week? Or is there some best practice or some something that we're looking at to say, this is what is humanly possible by good employees without their tongues hanging out for us to get done a week? How are we going to, what metrics are you using to decide what's a good work completion rate number?
That's an excellent question. So we were utilizing this year to compute a weekly, a 7-day average, using that as the basis for comparing as we move into the following year. And I don't, Ms. Rylander, would you like to add to?
Essentially, we looked at our own trend
Yes,
data. We looked at
yes,
our
and
own
looking-
trend
yes,
data to
you're-
see
So we
kind of
just
where
want to
we are.
improve whatever it is
Yes,
we're doing. We're not,
year-over-year improvement.
there's no,
We use what we were currently doing in the previous year to establish our baseline for what we'd work toward in the future.
how do we know when we go too far? And we get a lot of work orders signed off, but the work isn't of the quality we want because we're putting, like, how do we monitor that?
Understood. That is something that we can go back to the department to discuss the quality component. This is a completion within that time frame, and this is really an internal metric that helps them fine-tune their level of productivity and their ability to support the district in the way that we need to have the district, the schools, appropriately supported. So it's a critical metric that has not previously been examined, and I'll tell you, there's been a tremendous amount of work that has gone into preparing for this year to be our baseline year for comparison in the following. So I'm actually very proud of the work that they've engaged in and the level of consideration to be able to give us this number, because it's not an easy task.
Sounds like it's going to be common sense, that's what's going to end up.
Dr. Howard Hall, and then I have a follow-up question to the work order
Yes,
quality.
will this data be measured to determine whether or not there are too many work orders at a particular school, or perhaps maybe something needs to be done regarding with the maintenance as far as actually purchasing new items or replacements? Because a lot of times you keep fixing the same problem.
Absolutely, that's one of the things that they can look at. So right now, we're just talking about that overall completion within the week timeframe, but then they can do a deep dive within the data to see, are there specific types of work orders at specific locations? Is this a situation where something may need to be replaced if it's fixed one too many times, as you indicated? So it allows them that level of specificity.
There's a lot of cross-collaboration that is happening now between maintenance and operations and capital projects. And when we see recurring issues, we're fixing the HVAC system this week, a week from now, 3 weeks from now, a month from now, that could then suggest that we need to do a bigger project, a renovation, or, something that would then potentially move into capital improvement committee because it's a bigger project that requires so this data is informing our performance, but it's also informing day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month decisions that need to be made.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
As far as staffing goes, do we have enough of staff to be able to handle the workload? And if not, are there ways for local independent contractors to be able to come in and help?
That's all happening now.
That's an excellent question.
Yes, and that is all happening now. So our maintenance and operations team, we do use external vendors where we have gaps. HVAC is one of those particular areas where we don't have enough internal staff. So we partner with external vendors and they come in and fill that gap.
So on Mr. Ross, did you? Okay. So on the work order issue,
Yes.
I was thinking not so much about quality, but along the lines of Ms. Hall, is that it doesn't help us if we have a high number of completed work orders if you've come to my office 3 times to fix the same thing.
Correct.
So are we like isolating the data to one and done work order, like isolating that rate to the one and done work orders versus the ones that we're repeating that issue? Because high rate driven by somebody coming to the office saying, "Are you good?" And I say, "Yes, I'm good." And then they close the work order. And then I got to call in again, and they open a new work order. And then they come and say it's done, but it's not. I've got 3 completed work orders, but I still don't have the work done. So in terms of the completion rate, how are,
Per the guidance that's provided, they're not supposed to close those out until the work has been completed and it has been verified as completed. And that is the full intent of this, not to simply just close them out because they've been left open.
oh,
for
no,
more.
no, I don't, that's not what I meant.
She's talking about
the recurring items, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you fix it, but it's really not, it doesn't address the root cause.
Yes.
So you're back fixing it, and then
Yes.
you're back fixing it, and then you're back fixing it.
Right.
Yes.
Because, for example,
Yes.
not this IT department and not the ID department at Savannah State University, but I do work with an IT department that I'll send in a work order and say, "I'm having this problem," and they will email me and say, "Here's the issue," and I get an email saying marked as resolved. I still have the problem. I have to put in another work order to get the problem because they think they have fixed it.
But they have
Correct.
not.
But they have not. So that's kind of what I was asking on an AC issue. Somebody comes in, they said, "Well, feels cool to me." So they close the work order, but it's not. Another one goes in. Do we have a way to kind of figure out our effectiveness?
That's in the data.
And yes, and that would be their next step.
And it's more internal, I think.
Yes.
And then we start getting into deferred maintenance.
Yes.
And do we actually have the money to fix the root cause?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so then it starts moving into capital projects and bigger projects. So I don't know that we thought about how to specify that here
Right.
in this, but I will say internally that those things are happening.
Okay.
Those conversations are happening. Sometimes all our maintenance department can do is go out and put a Band-Aid on it because really the root cause would mean replacing the whole HVAC system.
Okay.
And you can't do that today. Or maybe you can't even do it in a month. So you're delaying it, you're putting a Band-Aid on until we can move it into deferred maintenance or we can move it into a capital project, which would be a bigger project.
Okay, but that might be that might be good. Oh, I'm sorry, I hadn't seen you. That might be good data to collect in the process because we need to start building an East Plus project list.
Yes.
So if there's a
Yes.
way to code it
Yes.
in the system, like
Yes.
this is
Yes.
deferred,
Yes.
like
Yes.
a way to code it that it is Band-Aided and
Yes.
not
Yes.
completely
And we can do
finished, then we'll be able to pull all those down from a database and know
Yes.
that's a list. Is that something that we're
That is
thinking
Yes.
about?
happening internally, and
Great,
I can
okay.
vouch for that.
Okay.
Because I have been in all those discussions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Howard Hall.
Is there some type of method used or rubric to determine when you're trying to prioritize those work orders? For example, if one school may need some painting done, and they keep getting put on the back list because of the work orders that are more urgent.
I don't know that.
That's a great question, and I don't know that off the
James
top of
isn't
my
here.
head. I
We'll
know
get the answer.
that work orders do get sent to the appropriate team within any larger department, but I can definitely ask the question and have some follow-up information.
But that is a very good question.
Yes.
And so I will have James May provide a written response.
Thank you. And on the matter of the FCI and
Yes.
this report, I think this is really, really helpful. My particular interest in removing that item was having something that could be the discussion document for the budget process.
Of course.
And so I really think the annual status report can fulfill that really well. I mean, the work orders, the summary, the trends of the maintenance and the trends of the work order completion will kind of point to different directions, but I think the annual report can fulfill that same role for our finance committee. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Would you like to move on to the reporting schedule?
Absolutely. My pleasure. So as we look at the updated KPI reporting schedule, what I did is I put the adjustments in a light green highlight so it was still visible. And we made adjustments based on the availability of data and proper lead time for our teams to be able to prepare either the report or the collaborative presentation. So what you will see is an adjustment was made for strategic priority 1, which focuses on students. So we moved the K2 foundational literacy growth to the month of September. And that is a presentation to the Academic Excellence Committee. For the month of October, we made an adjustment also to strategic priority 1, and specifically to the student discipline report, which is a board presentation scheduled for that month. In the month of December, we made an adjustment to strategic priority 4 as we had a July presentation on transportation. A follow-up on-time transportation presentation is now proposed to occur in December. And hopefully we will have the data from semester 1 at that time. If further adjustments are needed, they will be brought forward in August. So we are taking another very careful look at the KPI reporting schedule and making final recommendations in August.
Thank you. Any comments or concerns about the reporting schedule? The December data for student discipline, that is data from the current year, or is that still lagging from the previous year?
So the October student discipline
Yeah, I'm
would
sorry, yeah,
be from
October.
the previous school year, 23,
Okay.
20, yes, 23, 20.
Okay, and the on-time transportation is lagging from the previous year or
The
current
on-time
year?
transportation is intended to be an update on semester 1 of this academic year.
Okay. Okay, and the foundational literacy in September is lagging? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Any thoughts, concerns, questions? Y'all are an efficient group today.
We love it.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. May.
Thank you very much.
I think now we're looking at our meeting schedule, and we've had to make a modification in the schedule because of a work conflict that I have. Meeting date adjustments. So we had an original meeting date of August 27th, but we're shifting that date to the 26th. Does that pose a challenge for any of the committee members? I think we're only missing. That is just moving it to Monday, yes. I think we're just missing one person. Everybody's cool? Okay. And then we've added an additional date in March of next year. If you can just pencil that in your calendars. Ms. Taylor, is there anything else that we need to cover today?
There is not. Again, thank you.
You're welcome. Wow, what a wonderfully brief meeting today. We're so efficient. Awesome. Ms. Hall has a question.
Dr. May, at what point can we talk about our partnership with early childhood providers around the county about how we're going to make this work, that they raise the level of experience for the children who come to them? At what point in this discussion will we have time to really go into that?
That will be a collaborative endeavor with Academic Affairs, so I'm going to, in fact, allow, with your patience, Mr. Butler to address that as our Chief Academic Officer.
Well, great afternoon. I will say that that is something that we'll add to one of our agenda items to consider with the Academic Excellence Committee. I think that'll be a great opportunity for us to discuss that further as one of our committee meetings.
When is that, Dr. Howard Hall? What is our next academic excellence? Do you know? It's like what I'm thinking, this is the beginning of the school year, and this is also the beginning of a lot of daycare things. And I want people to go to those daycares that are cooperating with us and trying to help us move this forward. So the sooner we can,
Understand, yeah.
get that, the better. So I guess for now, if we aim for the beginning of the next semester or something, but as soon as we can, I think that would be great to do.
We'll bring that conversation to the Academic Excellence Committee, but we're certainly having those conversations currently.
Okay,
So
thank you.
Yep.
It would be Mr. Butler.
That, we can
And
get that on
each of our
tape.
cabinet members that are leading a committee, they're in the process of building out scope and sequence of proposed topics. Of course, that has to be vetted with each committee chair, but that's what we've been talking about in our most recent meetings. So Mr. Butler should have something to present to you very soon about what we could do.
Just getting that question on the record, because your microphone is not pulled forward, is that she asked the question, Dr. Howard Hall asked who the point of contact on the staff was for academic excellence, and the answer is Mr. Butler. But you had something else you wanted to offer.
No, I was just going to say, when we talk about the scope and sequence, it'd be great if those different directors can look at the calendar so we won't have so many conflicts and scheduling, meetings that are.
So I've asked Kurt to produce a one-pager that has everybody's all the committee dates, all the board member dates, so that we can cross-reference and make sure that it's also not a heavy lift on staff. It's not a heavy meeting cadence for you all, putting in retreat dates and all the other dates. So we're working on a collective document that you'll be able to see everything, first of all, at a glance, and then to your point, so we don't have conflicts.
That would be very helpful, because 3 committee weeks, it is a lot for us, and it's probably even worse for leadership. So thank you for considering that. And the other thing that may be helpful for our staff liaisons is maybe talking periodically about the cross-pollination across committees. There was a lot of cross-pollination between academic excellence and board accountability in the past. It was easier to track that when we used non-technical minutes, because you had these notes that had some bullet points that obviously lent themselves to another committee. But now that we are using technology, which is good and helpful for the public, it doesn't have those notes that tell you what gets passed one to another. So normally the committee members will say, hey, we mentioned that at that meeting, can I pass it to you? We think it'd be good for y'all to talk about. It may also be good for staff liaisons to get together quarterly or something, just to see how committees are working efficiently.
Dion, one more thing.
Okay.
Dr. Watson, Mr. Moss, also the use of informal, wherever that can be used, because sometimes I feel like some of us know everything that's going on, and some board members know very little because they're not here. So any use of informal where we can,
You all have been sitting in on our recent cabinet meetings.
oh,
Because literally everything that you're talking about right now in the last 2 weeks, and you can look to staff, we have been having these very same discussions about alignment, collaboration, how we're working together, the use of informal, all these things have been discussion points, and we know time is such a valuable commodity for everybody, but we also want to get the content that you all need in, but we want to do it strategically and in a way that makes sense. Because ultimately, a lot of these decisions will inform budget decisions and other major decisions we have to make as an organization. So I see it as a complete puzzle, not in isolated entities.
Thank you. Well, with that, I would like to thank our team, thank our leadership for the work that they have done in the past and up to this point. I'm excited to see how this team works together in the new organization. A lot of talented people doing a lot of complicated data discussion and analysis. So thank you for what you do. Thank you, Dr. Watts, for your vision, and committee members for your time being here, and those who joined us online. We will stand adjourned.